going on, y'all?
And you can also spot it from quite a distance away because it sits upon a cliff overlooking the valley below. Inside the shed, you'll find the remnants of a 115. And you can also spot it from quite a distance away because it sits upon a cliff overlooking the valley below. Inside the shed, you'll find the remnants of a pyromaniac with shelves of propane canisters and 3 more canisters loaded onto what appears to be makeshift launchers aimed over the rest of the Commonwealth. You can grab and throw these canisters if you so desire, and then perhaps shoot at them from a distance using your sniper. But there are no particular enemies nearby in the ground below, so it might be quite pointless, but fun because explosions, you know. Another benefit of visiting this small rocket shed location is whoever this
Fallout New Vegas lore.
Hello, and welcome to the latest installment of Law and Order, the video series where I look at and unpack stories from games. In this one, we'll be diving into Obsidian and Bethesda's 2010 title, Fallout New Vegas. After Fallout 3, Bethesda got to work on another fantastic IP, and that was the magical world of Skyrim, which is part of the Elder Scrolls. The studio was busy with Skyrim, and they initially wanted to make another add-on pack with Fallout 3, but Todd Howard pushed for a new, full game, and this was accepted. So Bethesda contracted Obsidian, which was made up of many of the developers of the original Fallout game. This was to the delight of many of the OG Fallout fans, but worried new fans to the franchise since they loved Fallout 3. But when the game was released, it was considered by many, new fans and old, to be one of the greatest RPG games of all time. So in this video we'll be looking at the story of Fallout New Vegas. This game differed from the other games in the series, as in New Vegas you play as a courier who didn't grow up in one of the vaults. Still, the game has a great story with 4 different storylines depending on where you want to take the future of New Vegas. I previously did a video on the story of Fallout 3 along with another video on the vaults of Fallout 3, and I'll be following the same format here. This will be a video on the story of New Vegas, and a separate video will be coming on the vaults of the Mojave. Please note that there will be spoilers for Fallout New Vegas in this video, along with spoilers for the ending of the Fallout TV Series 2, so you have been warned. We're about ready to jump in, but before we do, a quick message from the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN.
Lore and Order.
The video. Gaming Harry, and pick up an... With all that being said, let's jump into the video. It's the year 2281, 4 years after Fallout 3, and 204 years after the Great War and the subsequent nuclear annihilation. Our character, known as the Courier, or Courier 6, is in the Mojave to deliver a package to New Vegas, with New Vegas being the remains of Las Vegas, Nevada. The package was destined for someone named Mr. House. However, the delivery does not go exactly as planned. The courier is intercepted by a man called Benny, who is being flanked by a couple of hired goons from a gang called the Grey Khans. Dragging the courier off to a cemetery in the town of Good Springs, Benny tells the courier that he's made his last delivery and pulls out what appears to be a poker chip, the precious cargo that the courier was meant to deliver. Benny then pulls out a gun and shoots the courier in the head. Miraculously, the courier isn't dead, and the courier is taken into Good Springs by someone and is patched up by a doctor. A couple of days later, the courier wakes up and speaks to the doctor, Doc Mitchell. After checking the courier's memory, Doc Mitchell gives the courier a handy Pip-Boy 3000, as Mitchell grew up in a vault, and sends him on his way, telling him to check in with Sonny Smiles. After speaking to Sonny and helping her with a gecko problem, the courier speaks with a Securitron called Victor. Victor is the Samaritan that found the courier and took him to Doc Mitchell. Speaking with another resident, namely Trudy, she reveals that she thinks there's something off about Victor and his cheerful demeanour. Trudy also explains that Good Springs has encountered a spot of bother. A trader called Ringo stumbled into the town saying he'd been attacked by a gang called the Powder Gangers and needed a place to hide, so the town have let him hide out in an old gas station. The Powder Gangers and their leader Cobb have come after him. The courier can choose to help out by taking out the attacking Powder Gangers.
In exchange for retrieving the
Precisely.
In exchange for retrieving the computer parts, the squatters agreed to join the NCR, receiving education and
Hello, and welcome to the latest installment of Law & Order, the video series where I look at and unpack stories from games. In this one, we'll be diving into Obsidian and Bethesda's 2010 title, Fallout New Vegas. After Fallout 3, Bethesda got to work on another fantastic IP, and that was the magical world of Skyrim, which is part of the Elder Scrolls. The studio was busy with Skyrim, and they initially wanted to make another add-on pack for Fallout 3, but Todd Howard pushed for a new, full game, and this was accepted. So, Bethesda contracted Obsidian, which was made up of many of the developers of the original Fallout game. This was to the delight of many of the OG Fallout fans, but worried new fans to the franchise since they loved Fallout 3. But when the game was released, it was considered by many, new fans and old, to be one of the greatest RPG games of all time. So in this video we'll be looking at the story of Fallout New Vegas. This game differed from the other games in the series, as in New Vegas you play as a courier who didn't grow up in one of the vaults. Still, the game has a great story with 4 different storylines depending on where you want to take the future of New Vegas. I previously did a video on the story of Fallout 3 along with another video on the vaults of Fallout 3, and I'll be following the same format here. This will be a video on the story of New Vegas, and a separate video will be coming on the vaults of the Mojave. Please note that there will be spoilers for Fallout New Vegas in this video, along with spoilers for the ending of the Fallout TV Series 2, so you have been warned. We're about ready to jump in, but before we do, a quick message from the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark and DDoS. With all that being said,
Okay.
it's the year 2281, 4 years after Fallout 3, and 204 years after the Great War and the subsequent nuclear annihilation. Our character, known as the Courier, or Courier 6, is in the Mojave to deliver a package to New Vegas, with New Vegas being the remains of Las Vegas, Nevada. The package was destined for someone named Mr. House. However, the delivery does not go exactly as planned. The courier is intercepted by a man called Benny, who is being flanked by a couple of hired goons from a gang called the Grey Khans. Dragging the courier off to a cemetery in the town of Goodsprings, Benny tells the courier that he's made his last delivery and pulls out what appears to be a poker chip, the precious cargo that the courier was meant to deliver. Benny then pulls out a gun and shoots the courier in the head. Miraculously, the courier isn't dead, and the courier is taken into Goodsprings by someone and is patched up by a doctor. A couple of days later, the courier wakes up and speaks to the doctor, Doc Mitchell. After checking the courier's memory, Doc Mitchell gives the courier a handy Pip-Boy 3000, as Mitchell grew up in a vault, and sends him on his way, telling him to check in with Sonny Smiles. After speaking to Sonny and helping her with a gecko problem, the courier speaks with a Securitron called Victor. Victor is the Samaritan that found the courier and took him to Doc Mitchell. Speaking with another resident, namely Trudy, she reveals that she thinks there's something off about Victor and his cheerful demeanour. Trudy also explains that Goodsprings has encountered a spot of bother. A trader called Ringo stumbled into the town saying he'd been attacked by a gang called the Powder Gangers and needed a place to hide, so the town have let him hide out in an old gas station. The Powder Gangers and their leader, Cobb, have come after him. The courier can choose to help out by taking out the attacking Powder Gangers, or the courier can do the opposite. Throughout the courier's journey, he will come across various settlements that require help, and this can result in either being idolised or hated by these communities. Anyway, the courier leaves Goodsprings and sets off across the Mojave. Going off of the delivery assignment note, in order to try and find the men that tried to kill him, the courier heads for the Mojave Express in the town of Primm. Arriving in Primm, the courier is alerted by a member of the NCR, the New California Republic, who says that some convicts broke out of the nearby NCR correctional facility and have taken over the town. The people there are in hiding, and the NCR are doing nothing as Primm does not fall into NCR jurisdiction. Speaking to an NCR officer, a Lieutenant Hayes, Hayes says that he's been trying to organise getting some firepower in to deal with the convicts, but that things are moving
I got apologies if there's any
as it pays that are in use.
That's good.
There's a lot of people who don't like to pay their...
Oh! That fence just got absolutely wrecked. Imagine getting arrested outside a police station. That is embarrassing. That's a bad day.
Help me, Lord. You fucker, get over there, damn you. Oh, what? What's the one with all the books? Yeah, hold on a second. What's this? Oh, you motherfuckers. Get down here. Get down here. Bookshelf. Get over there. Weird. How you place it is different. Are the only way one knows this? Placing the bookshelf in Minecraft gives you a different block. Fucking idiots. Placing a bookshelf in Minecraft gives you a different block. Weird. Bookshelf. I know I'm not the only one who's seen that shit.
Slow. Needing to get into Prim, the courier heads into the town and finds the town sheriff dead, along with his wife. Taking out a few convicts, the courier goes into the town's casino, the Vicky and Vance, and speaks with Johnson Nash, who runs the Mojave Express. Looking at the delivery assignment, Nash explains that the job seemed strange from the off, but that it paid well so that they couldn't turn it down. He mentions the cowboy robot, meaning Victor, and that 6 couriers were hired, each carrying a different item, some dice, a chess piece, and our courier, of course, was carrying a platinum poker chip. Payment had been received from the other 5 jobs, but Courier 6's package, our package, did not make it. Nash mentions that someone turned the job down, and that Courier 6 took that person's place. Nash mentions that it seemed like that person and our courier history. Anyway, Nash mentions that a few days prior he'd got word of someone passing through town wearing a Daisy suit, and the man was with some Great Khans and was talking about a chip. This is Benny, alright. Unfortunately, the courier needs to talk to Deputy Beagle to find out more information on where Benny went, and I say unfortunately because Beagle has been captured by the convicts and was taken to the nearby Bison Steve Hotel. So the courier heads over there to try and save Beagle. Taking out all of the escaped convicts, the courier finds Deputy Beagle, and meeting him outside, Deputy Beagle says that he heard Benny and the Great Khans were going to head through another town called Nipton, through to a place called Novak. Before leaving, the courier can choose to help Prim restore law and order after the demise of their sheriff, after freeing a former sheriff named Myers from the NCR prison, or by giving control to the NCR. Given how much of a fanny Deputy Beagle is, useless as a deputy, the NCR is probably the best option. Heading towards Nipton, the courier finds the town burning. All kinds of messed up stuff has gone on here. The courier is introduced to the Legion. A bunch of powder gangers had been rounded up by this Legion and were given lottery tickets, which determined how they would be punished. Pretty brutal. Speaking with the leader of the Legion scouts, the Frumentari, a man named Vulpus Inculta, the courier learns that the Legion modelled themselves on the military of the Roman Empire. The reason that they are there is that the powder gangers wanted to kidnap some NCR troopers in Nipton, so the town's mayor facilitated it. But the mayor was also in contact with the Legion, who wanted to make an example out of both sides, so they paid the mayor 8,000 caps. The Legion spare the courier, instead telling the courier to inform the rest of the Mojave, but especially the NCR, what they saw the Legion do to Nipton. The courier then leaves Nipton and heads towards Novak. The town of Novak itself is characterized by a massive dinky dinosaur statue outside the Dino Delight Motel, the name Novak coming from the term no vacancies. The courier comes across Victor. Victor says that something gave him the notion that he needs to go to New Vegas, so he's passing through Novak on his way. The courier speaks to various people in Novak, and a conversation with Jeannie Mae Crawford, who runs the motel, sees her mention a place nearby named Helios 1, along with other locations, namely the Repcon rocket factory and the Legion town of Nelson. She also mentions Benny, mentions that he was pretty rude, but she mentions that the Great Khans with Benny seemed to know one of the town's snipers, Manny. So the courier goes to speak with Manny. Manny mentions someone else named Boone, and mentions that both he and Boone used to be a sniper-spotter duo in the NCR. They've had a falling out recently though, as Manny didn't see eye to eye with Boone's wife, Carla, and one day she went missing. Manny explains that he used to be a member of the Great Khan, so that explains how they knew him. Manny knows about the chip that Benny took from the courier. Manny offers to help the courier find out where Benny is, but wants something in return. It's simple. Manny wants junk. But that junk is in the nearby ghoul-infested Repcon factory. Going to the factory, it turns out that the ghouls there are scientists, and they want to commandeer a rocket and fly it into space. The courier can choose to help them achieve their goal, but this choice will have ramifications on the town of Novak in the near future, depending on the ending. Whilst they're in Novak, the courier can also help Boone figure out what happened to his wife. Carla was kidnapped by the Legion and was taken away, so Boone presumes her to be dead. He wants vengeance, and he believes someone in the town sold her to the Legion. He wants the courier to find out who it was, and he gives the courier a beret and tells him to lead the guilty person to a specific spot, and he will kill them. After some investigating, the courier finds out that it was actually Jeannie Mae Crawford, the manager of the motel. She had a hatred for Carla, as she was one of the stuck-up city folk, and didn't want her to take Boone away from the town. Leading Jeannie Mae to the agreed spot for Boone and putting the beret on gives Boone his vengeance, but he vows to go on hunting the Legion. The courier finds out from Manny that the Great Khans had headed for a place called Boulder City. As a side note, Manny's personal terminal mentions that the chip Benny took was actually the property of his boss, and that he's been very twitchy since stealing it. In Boulder City, an NCR lieutenant there mentions that one of his patrols came under fire from the Great Khans. The NCR troops chased the Khans into the ruins of Boulder City, and 2 of the NCR troops got captured. Offering to enter the ruins, the courier speaks with the leader of the Khans group, a man named Jessup. Jessup is very surprised to see that the courier is up and about and, alive. Jessup then mentions that Benny stabbed them in the back, didn't pay them, and took the chip back to the New Vegas Strip. He also explains that Benny is one of the chairmen, the people who run the Tops Casino in New Vegas. The courier can choose to help settle things between the NCR and the Great Khans. Whatever the courier chooses, he sets out for New Vegas. After a long trip across the Mojave fighting various enemies such as fiends, the courier arrives at the Strip. Victor is there waiting for the courier, and after welcoming them to New Vegas, invites them to the Lucky 38 casino to speak with Mr. House, the man in charge of New Vegas.
Okay, so
Going
I'm
to the
trying to
Lucky
figure out how this
38, the
connects
courier
to
goes to the
the,
penthouse and speaks with
okay.
Mr. House. He's a computer. House asks the courier to retrieve the chip from one of his employees, Benny, by any means necessary and to bring it back to him. The chip is of immeasurable value to Mr. House. Mr. House tells the courier that Benny will be surrounded by his 4 bodyguards, but that he's usually alone when he's in his suite on the 13th floor of the Tops Casino, and advises the courier to seek a man named Swank, Benny's second in command. With that information in hand, the courier heads to the Tops. Speaking with Swank, and depending on whether or not they have the gift of the gab, the courier informs Swank about what Benny's plans are, that Benny is making his own play in order to seize control of the Strip, that Benny tried to kill him and took the platinum chip. Realizing that Benny is trying to screw over their boss, Mr. House, Swank has had enough and gives the courier the key to Benny's suite on the 13th floor. Now, what to do with Benny? The courier can go to Benny's suite and wait for him there, and he can speak to Benny, who is very surprised at the courier's appearance. They speak in private. Of course, Benny offers the courier the chance to help him take over New Vegas. The courier can kill Benny and take the chip. If the courier isn't wily enough or decisive enough, then Benny will simply run off with the chip. And this is where everything starts to go crazy. In a back room in Benny's suite, the courier is greeted by another Securitron, and this one is called Yes Man. He used to be one of Mr. House's Securitrons until he was captured by Benny and programmed by a woman named Emily Ortle. Yes Man is incapable of saying no, hence the name. Yes Man's new role is to monitor Mr. House's data network and decode House's encrypted transmissions for Benny, which is how Benny knew which courier would be carrying the chip. Yes Man knows all about the platinum chip and Benny's plans. Yes Man explains that Benny's and his plans was for an independent New Vegas. To achieve that, Benny wanted to use the platinum chip to copy Yes Man's matrix onto the Lucky 38's mainframe, effectively wiping out Mr. House. Because of Yes Man's programming requiring him to follow any order given to him, this would essentially give Benny total control over New Vegas. Yes Man wants the courier's help in deciding which of the region's tribes that are vying for some type of control over the Mojave order given to him. This would essentially give Benny total control over New Vegas. Yes Man wants the courier's help in deciding which of the region's tribes that are vying for some type of control over the Mojave can be left alone, and which group need action taken against them. Yes Man mentions an imminent attack by the Legion on the NCR-controlled Hoover Dam. We'll now break from the story for a bit and discuss some New Vegas history.
I don't ask, huh? How much does YouTube get from Super Chat? Typically receives 70% of their Super Chat revenue while YouTube takes it as my main career.
So let's go back to just before 2077, before the bombs fell. Robert Edwin House has a storied history, but it's not one I'm going to go too deep into here. Basically, as a 22-year-old, Robert House created Robco Industries, and it soon became one of the most profitable companies in the world, and House himself had managed to amass personal wealth of around $30 billion. He also managed to obtain interest in Repcon and the Lucky 38. House also managed to predict that the world would be destroyed in a nuclear war within the next 15 years, so House started making plans. He would attend a meeting with Vault-Tec, in which he would learn about the true nature of the Vault-Tec vaults and their related human experiments. Knowing that nuclear destruction was imminent, House used his influence to ensure that no missiles would hit the city of Las Vegas by creating a system that would destroy any incoming warheads by way of transmitting disarm codes. Wanting to live through the nuclear destruction and to be able to see the world afterwards, House had his body enhanced and placed inside the life support chamber inside the Lucky 38, and his brain was wired into the information network via a supercomputer. Then, the bombs fell in 2077, with 77 warheads targeting Las Vegas. A few missiles hit Vegas, but the city was spared from an inevitable destruction. One problem: Mr. House had developed the platinum chip, and it was to be delivered to him on the day the bombs fell. However, the bombs fell before the chip could be delivered to him. This meant that he couldn't install the far superior upgrade for his defenses, so had to rely on an inferior OS. Despite this, House still managed to save Las Vegas from complete destruction. House would remain in a coma for decades, and New Vegas, as it became, lay dormant. That was until 2274. Mr. House decided it was time to rise again, and commanded his Securitrons to move from the Lucky 38 and onto the Strip. This was because NCR scouts had arrived at the Hoover Dam on the orders of their president, Aaron Kimball, as the dam could be restored. House, in response, turned to three tribes who renamed themselves the Chairmen, the Emerters, and the White Glove Society, and House gave each of these tribes their own casino, and they would become employees of Mr. House. New Vegas was then established as a free economic zone, and House would become the president of New Vegas. The Chairmen were a warrior tribe before 2274, the Emerters were a raider tribe, and the White Glove Society were essentially cannibals. Although they were forced to give up their preferred diet, they still secretly partook in cannibalistic meetings and feasts, kidnapping people that they could serve up to the rich. Anyway, the three families, along with the Securitrons, would meet the NCR there at the dam. House, then, in exchange for his help with the Hoover Dam, and giving the NCR McCarran Airport to use as their base, House proposed and signed the New Vegas Treaty. This treaty was especially beneficial to the NCR, as trying to take the dam by force, along with the Strip, would have left the NCR weak and open to attack by other newcomers to the area, Caesar's Legion. So, as of the time that the game takes place, the NCR are in control of the Hoover Dam. The conditions of the treaty are that 95% of the power produced by the dam would go to the NCR territories, and 5% would go to powering the Strip itself. In return, NCR citizens would be allowed access to gamble in the Strip's casinos. The NCR would establish an embassy in the Strip. There would be a Legion attempt to take Hoover Dam in 2077, but we will get to that shortly. But with all that explained, let's jump back into the story. Leaving the Tops Casino, Volpes Incolta approaches the courier and presents them with the Mark of Caesar. Caesar wishes to speak with the courier. The courier is also approached by someone from the NCR embassy on behalf of Ambassador Crocker. He would also like to speak with the courier. Returning to Mr. House, he asks for the platinum chip. He says that he and the courier have much to accomplish, and being invited to the depths of the Lucky 38, the courier sees a glimpse of Mr. House's plans. It's a demonstration of his Securitrons being upgraded from simple weaponry to absolutely devastating weaponry capable of going to war. Mr. House, it turns out, has a secret weapon. An army of these Securitrons underneath the Legion's camp at Fortification Hill, hidden inside a derelict weather station. Now that courier has the chip, he can choose to help Yes Man, Mr. House, the NCR, or the Legion. But before the courier makes a decision, we need to discuss someone named Ulysses. During the meeting with Johnson Nash in Prim, Nash says that someone had previously turned down the courier job, meaning that Courier 6 took this man's place. This man's name was Ulysses. Ulysses has a very deep place. This man's name was Ulysses. Ulysses has a very detailed backstory, but I'll keep it brief for the sake of time. Ulysses was formerly a member of the Twisted Hares, a tribe from Arizona who struck up a partnership with Caesar's Legion, who wanted to conquer Arizona, and the Twisted Hares became scouts for the Legion, with Ulysses becoming one of the best. But the Legion betrayed them once their campaign had ended by enslaving the Twisted Hares, as they had with Arizona itself. The Twisted Hares were wiped out, but despite this, Ulysses remained part of the Legion and abided by a code given to him by Caesar. As most couriers were members of the Legion, Ulysses was not allowed to kill another courier. One day, Ulysses came across a place known as the Divide. Now, this place was full of things from the old world, pre-war, and Ulysses saw this as home. Then it was annexed by the NCR, and Caesar would send an army to seize it. One day, a courier turned up in the Divide with a package from the NCR. And that courier was our courier. Now, the courier didn't know what was in the package, he was just paid to deliver it. However, inside said package was a detonator, which could still be used to activate the warheads in the Divide, since a lot of unused warheads still sat entombed within the numerous silos in the area. The courier left and Ulysses looked at the package. It had a sigil of pre-war America on it. It was the sigil of the Enclave. If you want to know more about the Enclave, please check out my Fallout 3 video. Anyway, the device began speaking, and it activated some of the underground missiles. Since the silos were not open, the detonations caused ruptures in the landscape, and this tore the Divide apart, killing both NCR soldiers stationed there and large numbers of the Legion too. It's still not exactly clear why the Enclave wanted the Divide destroyed, but an anger raged inside Ulysses. He almost died but was saved by medical Eyebots. Ulysses saw the Courier as responsible for the destruction of the Divide, but considered the Courier dead from the blasts. After this, Ulysses headed east in an attempt to join up with the Legion. Caesar would then send Ulysses to Utah, to the Great Salt Lake. Caesar had sent Ulysses as a way to unite a tribe known as the Whitelegs against a settlement called New Canaan. This leads us to a man named Joshua Graham. Graham was a Canaanite, but abandoned the Canaanites in order to join Caesar's legion as a legate, and was an instrumental part of Caesar's campaign in Arizona. Remember I mentioned a Legion assault on the Hoover Dam in 2077? Well, Joshua Graham was in charge of that assault. He failed. Caesar punished Graham for this failure by covering him in pitch, which is flammable resin, set Graham on fire, and then threw him into the Grand Canyon. Somehow Graham survived, and after a painstaking 3 months, Graham was welcomed back by the Canaanites. He would be known in the Legion as the Burned Man, since use of his real name was punishable by death. This is where Ulysses comes in. Graham, since use of his real name was punishable by death. This is where Ulysses comes in. Graham returning meant that Caesar would set his sights on New Canaan itself. Ulysses made contact with the Whitelegs, and long story short, the Whitelegs sacked the city and murdered indiscriminately. Survivors, including Joshua Graham, fled into the Zion Canyon, joining the Dead Horses, and Graham became their acting war chief, and another man named Daniel joined another tribe called the Sorrows, but these two would have differing methods. Anyway, with Ulysses' job done, he settled in the Mojave. One day, whilst tracking irregular weather patterns, Ulysses discovered the Big NT, or Big Mountain, which is a pre-war research and development centre and a defence contractor. It was home to many different areas of research, and the location of a concentration camp for Chinese-American prisoners. Whilst there, he got tangled up in a Brotherhood of Steel beef between a Brotherhood assassin called Christine and Father Elijah, an elder of the Brotherhood who had gone rogue. Father Elijah has got a vendetta against the NCR, but that's something else entirely. But more on this later. Ulysses spoke with the think tank and learned about the sleeping giants in the Divide, which were missiles inside silos, and that there was a device to activate them. An Eyebot, nicknamed Eddie, and of course, our courier would also visit the Big MT later too. Since Ulysses couldn't kill the courier because of the code, he's let the Mojave kill the courier for him. But this wouldn't do, it would take too long. Ulysses would broadcast a message in an attempt to lure the courier to the Divide. Hearing this message near to Prim, the courier comes across the entrance to the Divide, and the words Courier 6 are written on it. How inviting. Entering into the Divide, the courier immediately enters into a missile silo and comes across an Eddie Eyebot. Leaving the silo, Ulysses speaks to the courier through the Eyebot and says that now that they're there in the Divide, the courier can now look upon the destruction they had caused. Ulysses wants the courier to find the trigger for the warheads, which had been buried somewhere in Hopeville. The courier moves across the Divide, fighting off any hostile NCR or Legion remnants that remain. The courier finds the trigger and uses it to remove any obstacles by way of exploding remaining warheads. Whilst doing so, the courier finds various logs left by Ulysses, detailing his journey and what his vision is for the new world. After a long trek across the Divide, fighting hostiles including Deathclaws, the courier manages to make it to Ulysses' temple. Inside, the courier speaks with Ulysses himself, and he reveals to the courier that he holds them personally responsible for the destruction of the Divide. He reveals that he plans to launch missiles into the Mojave, as he now believes that both the Legion and the NCR are incapable of building a brighter future. He wants to destroy the NCR's supply lines by destroying the Long 15, and to destroy New Vegas so that the Legion will stop obsessing over it. There is another possible reason too, and that is to destroy the dream of the courier by destroying New Vegas completely, and that's an added bonus, I guess. Ulysses can either be killed in battle or he can be talked down. Either way, if the courier has been friendly to Eddie, then the little Eyebot can sacrifice himself and bypass the console, allowing the courier to either divert the missiles, destroying either the Legion camp, the Long 15, or both, or can choose to completely deactivate them. For the sake of the continuing story, let's just say the courier decides to deactivate the missiles. The courier then heads back to New Vegas, as more important decisions need to be made. So first we'll start by looking at the ending, which involves going down the path of Yes Man. Yes Man wants to establish an independent New Vegas, and seeing as Benny is dead, This would mean that the Courier would be in control of New Vegas. Firstly, Yes Man wants the Courier to go to the Lucky 38 with the Platinum chip, and wants him to replace Mr. House with Yes Man's Matrix instead. In order to do this, the Courier needs to force their way into the penthouse, and down into the depths of the Lucky 38, where Mr. House's life support pod is. Choosing to either kill or disable Mr. House, the Courier returns and Yes Man uploads himself onto the mainframe. Sending the Courier to the demonstration area, the Courier sees the upgraded Securitrons in action. The Courier is sent to the Legion camp at Fortification Hill. Remember earlier I mentioned Mr. House's army of Securitrons underneath the Legion camp? Well, Yes Man needs them. Infiltrating the bunker, the Courier sets the Securitrons to standby mode, escapes back to the strip and goes to the Lucky 38. Yes Man says that the NCR president Aaron Kimball...
Hold on. But combined blocks add-on. Shut up.
With over 50 years in the industry.
How's everybody doing? My name is Echo, and in today's video, we are reviewing the Compressed Blocks add-on, created by Team Metallurgy. The add-on is priced as Compressed Blocks add-on, created by Team Metallurgy. The add-on is priced at 310 Minecraft coins. That's £1.69. This add-on is $2. According to the creators, there are a £1.69. This add-on is $2. According to the creators, there are a total of 75 compressed blocks and items available in this add-on, with more to come. The community likes this one, giving it a 4.6 star rating out of 5. With 40 ratings so far, 72% have been a 5-star. This add-on is only 453 kilobytes in size. I don't say this very often, but I generally think this is one of my favorite add-ons I've ever checked out. Not only is it reasonably priced, it's very easy to understand, and it's just an enhancement on your Minecraft experience. We all know inventory management is a problem in Minecraft, and this add-on helps with that. I really hope the creators expand on this add-on, but the quality of life that this adds as a survivor player is brilliant. Now you will start with this. I'm guessing it's one of the guidelines for marketplace add-ons. They have to include a book and explain what this is. Now this book is kind of pointless. Basically, they say, get rid of the book, open up the crafting table, and just search for compress. Every single block and item you are able to compress in this add-on is available inside of here. Now there is a couple of things I would like to be changed and introduced, but we'll go through it all. And if you want to compress something, let's say we wanted to do this. This is mangrove plank blocks. They all work the exact same. Minecraft is a muscle memory game. We all know when new recipes are introduced to the game, it's very easy to forget them. Well, with this, you're not going to have to think too hard because they all use the same design. It's all 9 blocks inside of the crafting table, and you will be given the compressed versions. Now, these are also really good for floor designs as well. And that's what I like about this. It's not just good for inventory management or storage, it's also really good for design. Now when you break these, you are also able to put these back inside of here and get your planks back. Let's just grab all of the available planks in Minecraft and let's compress them. The best way to do this is open up the crafting table. Obviously you can craft more things, so go ahead and just type in COM or just go ahead and type in compressed if you wanted to, and then you're able to convert these. So they can be stacked as well, and they just look so much cleaner. The only annoying thing with this is you are going to end up with 1 extra plank. Taking a stack of 64 and compressing them all the way down like this was just awesome to see. And this is definitely something Minecraft should actually consider in Minecraft Survival. Also, I really like the side textures. Now for me, this is where the fun begins, because you're able to compress your foods into blocks. We're Minecraft players, we love automatic farms. So grab something like beef, open up this, and you can see here it's already available. There is one slight problem. When I place it down, you can see that, well, to me it kind of looks like a bat, so I'm going to be honest with you. Well, that's a cow, right? But there's a problem with an item frame. When you place it in an item frame, the actual animal is on the side. I would typically use these in storage systems, and having to go to the side, it's not a massive annoyance, it's just an inconvenience. I think this texture needs to be on the front, but just like before, you're able to undo these back into your food sources, and it's just a brilliant idea. The things you're able to do this with versus not able to do this with, you're able to do this with rabbit, you're able to do this with pork chops, you're able to do it mutton, you're able to do it with chicken, and it just puts them all into blocks. And you can stack these on top of each other and make the perfect design. I just thought it was really, really cool. I would obviously have chests upon chests of chicken, pork chops, we would have mutton, you name it. I would have them all stacked up. But you just got home from your journey, you want to cook your food, go ahead and undo what you've just done. Things that did not work: sugar, salmon, and cod. I think the most common food source, in my opinion, has to be fish, especially if you like to go fishing a lot or you create farms. So I think they definitely need to be added. And also sugar cubes definitely need to be added. More foods you're able to compress. Things like golden apples, which have a really cool design. So you'll see here how this one actually displays the apples versus this one which doesn't. So if we go ahead and grab these, open up this, really easy to do. There we go, place this down, you can see the texture there, but you can kind of see the apple design on the top. I've seen mods like this on Minecraft Java Edition. This can be done with regular apples, carrots, golden carrots, even wheat can be compressed, and you can see here, it's just gonna put them back into hay bales here. Tap on this, you can do it back. Now the texture is just really subtle. It's just more of a swirl, which I liked. You can do potatoes, poisonous potatoes. I think this one might be coca beans. This one is the coca beans. This one is churros, I believe. Churros as well. Then we have sweet berries, beetroots, even cookies. Even cookies can be compressed. Although I wasn't able to uncompress this. Am I not able to uncompress this? Ooh, okay. Maybe a bug, maybe a feature, but could you imagine building a room and that's the floor? It's like an alternative sponge block. You're also able to do mushrooms. Again, they look really good in the floor designs. There's two different types of mushrooms here. So I was just thinking of various different ways I would use this as a survival player. Let's say
Fallout 4 underground tunnels. Going underground in Fallout 4. Going under the map in Fallout 4. I gotta see this, because if that's the case, that's cool.
What is up, everybody? It is John again, and today I wanted to show you guys a neat little trick in Fallout on how to get underneath the map and be able to build structures and settlements while down there. Now, this will work in any settlement that you are capable of building on, but I'm going to be doing it at Sanctuary Hills because I found it to be a little bit easier. I would also recommend before starting this process to send any companion away that you might have with you, because it could result in losing one of them, and build another staircase connecting to the one that I built at the beginning of the video. Now you could start connecting wood floors to the staircase and actually create a platform to walk around on. And if you've actually done all these steps correctly, you should now be able to successfully build more and more structures underneath the map. Returning to the surface is a little bit easier than actually getting under. All you have to do is either fast travel away or walk up the staircase that we actually built. Of course, to get back, all you have to do is glitch yourself back underneath the floorboards. I did read online that you could place the fast travel map underneath there with you, so whenever you fast travel here, you would spawn there, but I could never seem to get this to work. So for now, I would just recommend repeating the process.
At US Bank, when we say we're in it with you, we mean it. Not just for the good stuff, but for all the hard work it took to get there. We are in
What is up, everybody? It is
Open for secret.
So welcome back, guys, to another video, and today we're going to be checking out 5 awesome loot locations or rooms in Fallout 4. Whether this be from the base games or DLCs, I thought, considering you guys seem to really enjoy these top list sort of videos, why not do one based? There's definitely going to be a part 2, so if any of the locations that you think should have been in this video, they'll more than likely be in the second video. And of course, if you do have any locations of your own, be sure to put them in the comment section down below. As always, if you guys do enjoy these top list sort of videos, be sure to leave a like, guys. My plan is to try and get some sort of top list video out every single week based around Fallout or Skyrim. And of course, if you guys do enjoy these, then I'll try and get them out a little bit more often. But other than that, let's jump straight into the video. And the first location we're going to be checking out here is Bridgeway Trust. Bridgeway Trust is essentially an unmarked bank location with a vault inside with a ton of stuff inside the vault. You can find this located right here on your map just south of Backstreet Apparel, and as you can see as well, not too far away there from Diamond City. And upon entering, you won't find much around the general area. You'll find a couple of general scrap items. One of the more noticeable things, I guess, in this area is the pre-war money that's sort of scattered around the desks as well inside of the cash register. But again, this is quite simply just a bank with a vault inside of it. There really isn't much exploration to this. As soon as you walk in, you will see the vault there, and to actually unlock the vault, you'll need to get through a master terminal. So you want to make sure that your hacker pack is definitely up there enough to be able to get through the vault itself. But upon going through the master terminal, the vault door will then open, and you'll now have access to all the loot inside of the room. Again, this is a pretty big loot room. I mean, it contains 16 total safes from novice to master difficulty in terms of lockpicking, which is a lot of safes to have in one location. But aside from that, there's a bunch of pre-war money as well as gold bars scattered all around the shelves inside of here. And one thing to mention is the gold bars do actually respawn after a certain amount of days in game, so it's something that you can go back to again, pick up the gold bars again after a while, and just a little bit of a fact there for you guys. As for the saves in the room, again, you'll need to have master lockpicking to be able to get through a few of these. So to save you guys a bit of time, I have unlocked every single one of the saves in here. They do contain just general loot that you would find in a safe normally, ranging from ammo, weapons. Some of the weapons may contain some mods already on them, certain items that you can scrap and sell. Again, it's just general loot, but because there's so many saves in here, there's a lot of general loot that can be obtained from this location. In general, this is definitely one of the better loot rooms or locations in the game. It contains a lot of stuff with a lot of saves, and it's definitely one for you guys to check out if you haven't already. And that leads us into our next loot room, which is actually coming from the Far Harbor DLC expansion. And as many of you guys will know, this is the Cranberry Island loot supply shed. This room holds a ton of materials, probably the most materials you will find in one room in the entire game, and it also holds a chest as well with some general items inside of it. Now, to get inside of the supply shed, you're going to need to find a key to open it, and to get that key, you'll need to power 3 generators around the area. Generator 1 can be found right here on your map, pretty much laying underneath the bridge. Simply go up to the wires and you'll have 3 options to repair it. And basically the options are to repair the wire, which costs materials, rewire it, which you need 5 intelligence for, and then simply kick it. I'd say it's best to make a quick save beforehand just in case anything does go wrong, but just simply go ahead and choose the best one for your character. Of course, if you have the materials, you can choose that. I believe kicking it, I'm not too sure exactly what that actually entails, and the chances that you have of actually making that successful. I believe it may be your strength actually saying that, but Again, just choose one that's best for your character and get generator 1 up and running. Once you've done that, you'll now need to head over to generator 2, which can be found right here on your map. And it's pretty much the same thing, just simply go ahead and repair the generator, and then you'll need to make your way over to generator 3, which can be found right here on your map as well. And again, doing the same thing, you now have all 3 generators up and running, and when you do this, it will essentially open a door in which the key is located. So go ahead and make your way over to this location on your map. You'll now notice that the door will be open and all of the lights will be lit. Go ahead and take out all of the enemies, and inside of there in a footlocker you will find the loot supply shed key. Simply pick the key up and head all the way back to the cranberry supply shed, and you can now go ahead and open the door and access all of the loot inside of there. Again, this one's mainly for materials, like it's pretty much just a ton of materials all over the shelves, which by the way, you can spawn over a certain amount of time in game. Just something to know there again. As well, you'll find a chest with a ton of general loot inside of it as well, that of course can be different to your game. So again, another great loot room, probably one of the biggest and best in Fallout there. And now moving on to the next one, which of course is Fallon's department store. Now Fallon's department store has a secret room inside with a ton of safes and other things that you can obtain from it, and you'll basically find it located right here on your map. Once you're here, simply head inside of Fallon's department store itself, then make your way down the escalators on the right to the very bottom floor. Now, on this floor, you'll notice in the middle there's a bunch of desks, and behind those desks you'll find one a master lock safe which has some stuff inside of it, and you'll also notice as well underneath one of the desks there's a hidden button that you can actually press. Pressing that button will unlock a secret room behind a bookcase. You'll notice to the left side of the room the bookcase will open up, and inside of that room you will find 6 safes. 4 of them are the small wall-mounted ones, and then 2 of them are the medium-sized wall-mounted ones, and they're all behind a master lockpick. However, you can find the key to unlock all of these in the toolbox on the shelf, so just go ahead and pick up the key, and you'll now have access to all of the safes in the room. Again, all of these safes contain the general loot that you would find inside of a safe or chest, ranging from ammo to weapons. Again, some of these weapons can have mods already on them. You'll also find some caps and general scrap items and stuff like that. And in general, it's a very good, loot room to actually find in Fallout. And there's also one more thing that can be obtained from Fallon's department store. On the very top floor, if you go ahead and just make your way all the way up the escalators and take a left into the room, and inside of another room that's in that room, you'll find a Lacoif magazine, which basically unlocks a hairstyle for your character. So it's definitely something worth picking up. And the Fallon's department store in general is a great location for general loot for you guys. And that leads us into our second last one of the video, which is the Prydwen Armory, or I guess the store run by Proctor Tegan. And if you've been on the Prydwen before, you'll notice that this store, you can just tell by looking, there's a bunch of stuff behind Proctor Tegan himself. However, to actually get inside of there, there is a door with, again, a master lockpicking requirement, or you can go ahead and use the terminal, which will require you to have master hacker as well. So I definitely suggest making a quick save just in case anything does go wrong. And then of course you want to make your way through the door. I suggest using a stealth boy as well, or something like that, to make sure you go undetected, because you are going to be stealing a lot of the stuff in this room. And again, there is a lot of stuff in this room, from a chest full of ammo and general loot, to a ghost rifle on the table. A lot of weapon mods will also be on the table as well. An Exo-1 power armor helmet. You'll find a Fat Man, some mini nukes, some missiles, some fusion cores, a bunch of ammo boxes as well where you can get general ammo, and just a lot of general items and weapons in this room. If you are on the Prydwen and you're with the Brotherhood of Steel, this is definitely a place you are going to want to go ahead and loot. Again, if you do get caught stealing any of this, the whole of the Prydwen will pretty much turn on you and try to gun you down, so just make sure that you make a quick save beforehand. And this generally is a great loot location. And for the final one of the video, this of course is the Abandoned Shack. You can find this located right here on your map, and this location in general is a bit of a creepy type of location, and more of a sort of hidden one in Fallout 4. Because looking from the outside, you'd think it's just a small abandoned shack. However, there is an installation base
hidden inside of there, and you'll find the key to open that in the suitcase lying next to the skeleton. Simply pick up the key and make your way down into the installation base itself. Now the installation base itself is pretty damn big. I mean, the first area you'll enter, there'll be a terminal that you can access if you want to, but you want to get down into the main area, in which you'll have to flip a circuit breaker to open up the door. Once in the main area, there won't be too much to loot. There'll be a few traps you can disarm, there'll be a few cigarette cartons and stuff like that in lockers, in general kind of scrap items. There'll also be a bunch of synths down here. If you want to go ahead and kill those, you can feel free to do so. They will have loot on them. And the main part of it though is at the very, very bottom, where you'll find a chest with some loot in it. You'll also find a safe as well, sort of backed up into the corner, which you can kind of move around and get into. Again, there's a terminal here. There's also a few sort of ammo boxes that you can loot as well. You can find a lot of pieces of an EXO-1 power armor suit in this location, which is why it's a decent loot location to go to. Now don't get me wrong, it's not as good as some of the others featured in this video, but the fact that it does have a lot of the EXO-1 power armor pieces already there, it comes with a power armor frame, you know, a chest, as well as the location is great in general, I thought it was definitely one worth adding it to the list. And that's pretty much it for episode 1 of the best loot rooms in Fallout 4. Again, episode 2 should be out in about a week or two if I can get around to making it. If you guys do enjoy these top list videos, be sure to let me know by leaving a like down below, guys. Just in case anything does go wrong, but just simply go ahead and choose the best one for your character. Of course, if you have the materials, you can choose that. I believe kicking it, I'm not too sure exactly what that actually entails, and the chances that you have of actually making that successful. I believe it may be your strength actually saying that, but again, just choose one that's best for your character and get Generator 1 up and running. Once you've done that, you'll now need to head over to Generator 2, which can be found right here on your map. And it's pretty much the same thing, just simply go ahead and repair the generator, and then you'll need to make your way over to Generator 3, which can be found right here on your map as well. And again, doing the same thing, you now have all 3 generators up and running, and when you do this, it will essentially open a door in which the key is located. So go ahead and make your way over to this location on your map. You'll now notice that the door will be open and all the lights will be lit. Go ahead and take out all of the enemies, and inside of there in a footlocker you will find the loot supply shed key. Simply pick the key up and head all the way back to the Cranberry supply shed, and you can now go ahead and open the door and access all of the loot inside of there. Again, this one's mainly for materials, like it's pretty much just a ton of materials all over the shelves, which by the way do respawn over a certain amount of time in game. Just something to know there again. As well, you'll find a chest with a ton of general loot inside of it as well, that of course can be different to your game. So again, another great loot room, probably one of the biggest Fallout there. And now moving on to the next one, which of course is Fallon's department store. Now Fallon's department store has a secret room inside with a ton of safes and other things that you can obtain from it, and you'll basically find it located right here on your map. Once you're here, simply head inside of Fallon's department store itself, then make your way down the escalators on the right to the very bottom floor. Now, on this floor, you'll notice in the middle there's a bunch of desks, and behind those desks you'll find one, a master lock safe which has some stuff inside of it, and you'll also notice as well, underneath one of the desks, there's a hidden button that you can actually press. Pressing that button will unlock a secret room behind a bookcase. You'll notice to the left side of the room, the bookcase will open up, and inside of that room you will find 6 safes. 4 of them are the small wall-mounted ones, and then 2 of them are the medium-sized wall-mounted ones, and they're all behind a master lockpick. However, you can find the key to unlock all of these in the toolbox on the shelf, so just go ahead and pick up the key, and you'll now have access to all of the safes in the room. Again, all of these safes contain the general loot that you would find inside of a safe or chest, ranging from ammo to weapons. Again, some of these weapons can have mods already on them. You'll also find some caps and general scrap items and stuff like that. And in general, it's a very good, loot room to actually find in Fallout. And there's also one more thing that can be obtained from Fallon's department store. On the very top floor, if you go ahead and just make your way all the way up the escalators, and take a left into the room, and inside of another room that's in that room, you'll find a La Coiffe magazine, which basically unlocks a hairstyle for your character, so it's definitely something worth picking up. And the Finance Department store in general is a great location for general loot for you guys. And that leads us into our second last one of the video, which is the Prydwen Armory, or I guess the store run by Proctor Tegan. And if you've been on the Prydwen before, you'll notice that this store, you can just tell by looking, there's a bunch of stuff behind Proctor Tegan himself. However, to actually get inside of there, there is a door with, again, a master lockpicking requirement, or you can go ahead and use the terminal, which will require you to have master hacker as well. So I definitely suggest making a quick save just in case anything does go wrong. And then of course you want to make your way through the door. I suggest using a stealth way as well, or something like that, to make sure you go undetected, because you are going to be stealing a lot of the stuff in this room. And again, there is a lot of stuff in this room, from a chest full of ammo and general loot, to a force rifle on the table. A lot of weapon mods will also be on the table as well. An Exo-1 power armor helmet. You'll find a Fat Man, some mini nukes, some missiles, some fusion cores, a bunch of ammo boxes as well where you can get general ammo, and just a lot of general items and weapons in this room. You know, if you are on the Prydwen and you're with the Brotherhood of Steel, this is definitely a place you are going to want to go ahead and loot. Again, if you get caught stealing any of this, the whole of the Prydwen will pretty much turn on you and try to gun you down, so just make sure that you make a quick save beforehand.
Hold on. They're talking about Old Country.
Well, we've actually got some very, very interesting information about Mafia: The Old Country, the game that almost shook the internet when it was first announced at Gamescom a couple days ago, and we officially got a final teaser to this game, which looked incredible. Now, there's a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of hidden secrets that's available within this trailer, and from all the latest information that we've just received about the next Mafia game, and it actually seems like the game is going to be so much connected to Mafia 1 and Mafia 2 especially. Now, very huge thanks to Scythe Potato Amir on Twitter, who actually posted this picture, which kind of just made me very curious about how this game is going to be linked with Mafia 2. And apparently, if you take a look at the first Chapter 1 sequence of Mafia 2, you'll actually see that the game starts off with a huge war happening, and the war actually takes place in this particular location. Now, from the descriptions, as you can see, the town from Mafia: The Old Country teaser begins with the exact same town that you see here in the Chapter 1 of Mafia 2 game, where you play as Vito Scalata. And to my surprise, it seems like the Chapter 1, the mission of Chapter 1 is also named as The Old Country. So how ironic, 2K decided to go ahead and name the next Mafia game as The Old Country, which means that the game is going to be taking place with a heavy relation to Vito's story, or the location and timeline. So the game is basically a prequel to Mafia 2, as well as Mafia Definitive Edition, or you can even call it as the first Mafia game, because some of the screenshots that 2K shared on the official Steam page where you can wishlist the game currently, now in the screenshots, if you take a look from all the Reddit posts that comes from the Mafia game, now you can see that both the buildings are literally the same. Now this is the first mission that you play in Mafia 2, where you play as Vito in the war, playing as a soldier. Now you enter this huge mansion here, and there's also like the same flag that is kind of shown off in the new Mafia games screenshot as well. And now, as you can see, it seems like all of the things around is broken, and most probably the start of the game is kind of related with the start of Mafia 2, because there was also a war that was happening back in those times where we played as Vito, and that's probably why everything over here is kind of just broken, and as you can see, it seems like bullets are flying off, and there's basically war happening in here. And I don't know what this is exactly. Turn the face cam off so you can see what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, it seems like there is some sort of a soldier lying down, or maybe it could be a weapon. Never know. So there is clearly something over here that we are not really aware of what that could end up being. So yeah, it seems like the whole reference is all about Mafia 2 and Vito's storyline. And also from all the leaks that we've got previously, we already learned that this game was going to take place in Sicily during the 1900s. And from all the information that we also received from the official Mafia's Twitter account, they said that this game was going to take place in the 1900s of Sicily. Now, they also said that the game is going to be having authenticity is at heart of the Mafia franchise, and Mafia: The Old Country will offer voice acting in Sicilian in line with the game's settings of the 1900s Sicily. Italian language localization will also be available for both in-game UI as well as subtitles. The UI and subtitling is going to be in Italian. How cool is that? Now, if you are someone that is interested to play the game in the Italian language, which is supposed to be like the original language as to when this game is set and with the location this game is set. So if that is something you guys would like, and if you know how to understand that language, I think that's going to be a really cool one to play the game as in the original state. But yeah, me personally, I'm going to play it in English because obviously that's the language I can understand. But from all the leaks that we received previously, all that we know is that we're going to be playing as...
Okay, I'm cool.
Is going to visit Hoover Dam in order to try and boost NCR troops' morale. Yes Man says that President Kimball has an 83.75% chance of being assassinated by the Legion. The courier can choose whether to help protect Kimball or even to be assassinated by the Legion. Kimball has an 83.7% says that the NCR President Aaron Kimball is going to visit Hoover Dam in order to try and boost NCR troops' morale. Yes Man says that President Kimball has an 80. The courier sets the Securitrons to stamp.
What is Yes Man in Fallout? AI program that serves as Benny's assistant and right-hand man. Sitting with Yes Man entire one becomes free, but with the press and that pretty much everyone besides the street is defenseless. Mr. House. On the other hand, pretty much becomes a dictator, but it depends the Mojave, and if you have good karma, then it says in the ending that you kept Mr. Says in the ending that you kept Mr. House on track of good and really helped society.
Standby mode, escapes back to the strip and goes to the Lucky 38. Yes Man says that the NCR President Aaron Kimball is going to visit Hoover Dam in order to try and boost NCR troops' morale. Yes Man says that President Kimball has an 83.75% chance of being assassinated by the Legion. The courier can choose whether to help protect Kimball or even to be assassinated by the Legion. Either way, the courier is then sent to the El Dorado power station to install an override chip, as this will start up the Lucky 38's reactors. Returning to the Lucky 38, Yes Man says that the Legion attack on the Hoover Dam is imminent. Going to Hoover Dam and using the battle talk down, and the battle is over. Of course, because this is a Fallout game, many choices give a multitude of different endings, such as what happens to the NCR and Legion next. But essentially at the core of it, an independent New Vegas has been established, removing the threat of both the NCR and the Legion to New Vegas rule, and the courier is in charge, essentially. The Securitron army was diverted to the Strip to keep order and brought an end to any chaos on the streets. Safer streets meant people could truly enjoy life. This meant that places like Goodsprings thrived, thanks to the business created as a result of people travelling to and from the Strip. Let's now move on to the ending involving siding with Mr. House. Giving the platinum chip over to Mr. House, he shows the courier a demonstration of how he will use the chip in order to upgrade the Securitrons. Afterwards, House tells the courier to go to Caesar's camp, to go to the weather station, and to activate House's army of Securitrons. Caesar confiscated the platinum chip when arriving at the Legion camp, and a chat with Caesar reveals that he's been trying to get inside Mr. House's secret bunker for years, but to no avail. He wants Mr. House out of the picture by the time his Legion assault the Hoover Dam. He wants the courier to go in there and destroy whatever's inside, including the bunker, but for the sake of this ending we're going to say to hell with Caesar the whiny little bit. Going down into the bunker, the courier speaks with Mr. House, activates the Securitrons, leaves the camp and heads back to the Lucky 38. House tells the courier that his plan is to drive business in the Strip. He sees the NCR as no more than a society of customers. He says that in 20 years he'll have reignited high-tech development sectors, and in half a century he'll have people in orbit. Mr. House then sends the courier on a series of errands. He wants the courier to get a community of ex-Vault dwellers called the Boomers on board, and to destroy the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. This is due to their willingness to preserve all pre-war technology, so that humanity cannot destroy itself again. House sees them as a threat to his goals, so obviously they've got to go. Recruiting the Boomers and helping them recover an old bomber from a lake sees them offer their assistance should the courier need it. As for the Brotherhood, well, the courier goes to their bunker in the Hidden Valley. The courier activates the self-destruct sequence for the bunker, destroying the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel and removing them as a threat. Mr. House then tells the courier about NCR President Kimball's imminent visit to Hoover Dam and the high chance of him being assassinated by the Legion. Mr. House needs Kimball to survive, as defeat at Hoover Dam will likely result in the NCR system blaming Kimball for the loss. This means that Mr. House can use Kimball as a scapegoat. If Kimball dies, then the blame will shift to New Vegas itself, and Mr. House needs tourism in New Vegas. Politics. Going to Hoover Dam, the courier can choose to help save Kimball's life, or just do nothing and let him die, but this obviously has wider ramifications on the ending. Either way, the courier returns to Mr. House, and with the Legion's assault on the dam imminent, Mr. House needs the courier to go to the El Dorado substation and install the override chip, in order to start the reactors in the Lucky 38. With that done, the courier is sent to Hoover Dam whilst the battle is raging between the NCR and the Legion in order to install another override module, with this one giving House the ability to control the dam's entire power output, and this will allow House's Securitrons in the bunker to power up. House also has the courier grab a piece of paper, and on that paper are the terms for the NCR's unconditional surrender. Heading to the Legate's camp, the courier can kill or talk down Legate Lanius, and with House's Securitron army online, the courier speaks with NCR General Lee Oliver. He congratulates the courier. However, House's army turn up, and the courier ruins the general's mood by handing in the terms of the NCR's surrender. The general can either be killed or talked down, but afterwards, House speaks with the courier and thanks him for his work. Again, the intricacies of this ending depend on player action, but here's the general rundown. With House establishing control of Hoover Dam and the Strip, this meant that the Legion and the NCR were pushed out of New Vegas, and as expected, Kimball took the blame for the NCR losing Hoover Dam. For towns like Goodsprings, House would send a Securitron to the town as a sign of gratitude for them helping the courier, but this was just a way for House to monitor Goodsprings. Prim received Securitrons too to protect the town, but again, this was House monitoring the town, and he imposed massive taxes on the residents. For the third ending, we'll now jump into the ending which sees the courier help out Caesar's Legion. Wearing the mark of Caesar, having received it from Vulpus and Coulter, the courier heads towards Cottonwood Cove. There, the courier heads through the camp. He meets up with Kirk towards Cottonwood Cove. There, the courier heads through the camp. He meets up. Courier heads towards Cottonwood Cove. There, the courier heads through the camp. He meets up with Curse Lucilius, who takes the courier via the river to Fortification Hill, and getting there, the courier is stripped of all their weapons and directed up the hill and into the main camp. He heads into Caesar's tent. As a side note, if the courier didn't manage to get the chip off of Benny, it's revealed that Benny tried to take the chip to Fortification Hill in order to activate Mr. House's Securitron army, and got caught by Caesar. After some formalities and listening to Caesar boast about his might and power, as was offered in the last ending we looked at, the courier was ordered by Caesar to go into House's bunker and destroy whatever is inside, and to destroy the bunker itself. After doing this, the courier returns to Caesar. Now Caesar wants the courier to actually kill Mr. House, so the courier goes to the Lucky 38, and finding Mr. House in his pod, the courier either kills or disables him. The courier then returns to Fortification Hill again. But I should probably now explain what happened in the first battle for Hoover Dam. So back in 2077, whilst Ulysses was in the Mojave, he reported his discovery of the Hoover Dam to Caesar and the Legion. They wanted to take it as part of their campaign. Caesar wanted to conquer New Vegas too, making it part of his new Rome. After what happened in the Divide with the detonation of the warheads, after the courier delivered the package, the NCR couldn't get reinforcements, so this was a perfect time for the Legion to strike. The previously mentioned Joshua Graham, then called the Malpais Legate, led the Legion in their assault on the dam. However, their direct approach was a mistake, and the Legion lost. Badly, even against a weakened NCR, led by a man named Chief Hanlon, as well as General Lee Oliver. The final part of the battle took place in Boulder City, though it wasn't really a battle. The city was rigged with explosives by the NCR, and the Legion's veterans were killed. Graham returned to Caesar, and Caesar punished him, as we've already mentioned, by covering him in pitch, setting him on fire and throwing him into the Grand Canyon, with even the utter mention of his real name being punishable by death, with Graham becoming known as the Burned Man. The Legion would then spend the in pitch, setting him on fire and throwing him into the Grand Canyon, with even the utter mention of his real name being punishable by death, with Graham becoming known as the Burned Man. The Legion would then spend the next few years rebuilding and training for another assault. Anyway, speaking with Caesar again, he wants the Courier to either forge Legion alliances with the Boomers and the White Glove Society, or to destroy them. Caesar has been carefully meddling in the politics of the Strip, trying to divide the three families. He wants the White Gloves to revert back to cannibalism. Caesar then suffers an attack of some kind. He's clearly not very well, but he brushes this off. He also asks the Courier to destroy the Brotherhood of Steel's Mojave chapter and their bunker. After doing his tasks, if the Courier has learned enough in medicine, he can return and tell Caesar that he's got a brain tumour. After being sent to retrieve a scanning module for the Autodoc machine from Vault 34, he upgrades the Autodoc to diagnose and treat brain tumours. Now the next choice comes. The Courier can kill Caesar through some medical malpractice, but this requires a skill check to get out of it without hostilities. But for the sake of this story, we'll just say that the Courier saves Caesar's life. After treating Caesar, he speaks with the Courier and says that NCR President Kimball will be visiting Hoover Dam and delivering a speech. Caesar says this is a perfect opportunity to strike and to assassinate Kimball. The Courier is sent to meet up with Cato Hostilius. Cato says that it's up to the Courier as to how he assassinates Kimball. Depending on player action, the Courier, disguised in an NCR uniform, goes to the dam and assassinates President Kimball. I chose to rig the AA guns at the dam, bringing down his vertibird. The Courier then escapes the dam, heading back to the Legion camp. Caesar says that it's time for the assault on the dam, and meeting up with Legate Lanius and discussing various tactics, the attack begins. The Courier is to find the NCR commander General Lee Oliver and kill him. Finding the General, the Courier is attacked by the NCR Rangers protecting the General, but after taking them all out, the Courier kills General Lee Oliver. Speaking with Lanius, he tells the Courier that the dam is now theirs, and this means that the NCR will inevitably pull out of the region, allowing the Legion to continue their westward conquest. They'll gather many slaves as they progress across the Mojave, with the aim of conquering California. True to what Lanius said, afterwards the Legion ripped through the Mojave, enslaving most of the population. Caesar honoured the Courier's actions with a golden coin, which was distributed throughout the wasteland. Towns such as Goodsprings saw many of their locals move away, as they were fearful of Caesar. Novak fell to the Legion, but many citizens escaped alive. Prim was abandoned by the NCR, and the Legion soldiers would watch the town. But now onto our final ending. Accepting the invitation presented to him on the Strip, the Courier heads to the NCR embassy on the Strip and meets with Ambassador Crocker. Crocker wants the Courier to help the NCR out of a tight spot. He wants the Courier to convince the Boomers to help the NCR. So after getting them on side, the Courier's next assignment is to help reduce violence in a district called Freeside, which is run by a gang called the Kings, who modelled themselves on greasers and whose leader took direct inspiration from Elvis. The Kings have been attacking NCR citizens, so after cooling down the hostilities between the Kings and the NCR citizens, the Courier returns to Ambassador Crocker. Thanks to the work the Courier did, Crocker trusts the Courier. So the Courier NCR citizens, so after cooling down the hostilities between the Kings and the NCR citizens, the Courier returns to Ambassador Crocker. Thanks to the work the Courier did, Crocker trusts the Courier, so sends him to Hoover Dam to speak with a Colonel Moore. Meeting with Colonel Moore, she says that something needs to be done about the Grey Khans, as she believes the Grey Khans are gearing up to assist the Legion in the upcoming battle. Going to meet with the Khans, Moore's intel was correct. The Khans and the Legion are in cahoots. After uncovering the Legion's true thoughts in regard to the Grey Khans, the Khans' leader, the Khan kills the Legion representative. The Courier can then either recruit the Khans to help fight against the Legion, or convince them to leave the Mojave. Returning to Colonel Moore after the task is done, the Courier is then tasked with investigating the Emerters. The Courier goes to the Emerters casino and learns that the Emerters have fallen under the allure of the Legion and are arming themselves to forcefully take control of the Strip at the time the Legion attack the dam. Colonel Moore also wants the Courier to take out Mr. House and to destroy the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood. Basically, a few years back, the NCR had a fight with the Brotherhood, who had occupied the Helios 1 solar power station and discovered it had a dangerous weapon, Archimedes 2, but the Brotherhood couldn't get it working. The NCR won the fight and took Helios 1. The Brotherhood retreated and seemingly disappeared, and this is why they hide in the Hidden Valley bunker. Father Elijah was the Mojave Brotherhood elder at this time. He became obsessed with finding technology in order to be able to defeat the NCR and deserted the Brotherhood, wandering different places to try and find important technology. Which is why the Brotherhood assassin Christine went after him in the Big MT. His desperation to find new technologies took him to the Sierra Madre, with him desperate to get inside the casino, as seen in the DLC titled Dead Money, where he found holograms of soldiers that couldn't be defeated with conventional weaponry. Anyway, the reason that Colonel Moore wants them dealt with is that the NCR have had scouts go missing and thinks that the Brotherhood are responsible. After doing both of these tasks, the courier prevents the assassination of President Kimball, and the Legion are ready for their attack. Speaking with General Lee Oliver, he reveals that there is a plan to assault the Legion's fort. However, an engineer arrives and tells the General that the Legion have managed to find their way into the power station using the hidden tunnels. The General wants the courier to head to the Legate's camp on the eastern bank and take out Legate Lanius. The courier assists the NCR in fighting the Legion and progresses through each section of the dam. Crossing it, the courier enters the Legate's camp and speaks with Legate Lanius. This either ends in him being killed or him retreating. After the battle is finished, the General arrives at the camp and congratulates the courier on a job well done and thanks him for securing the NCR's future. The Legion have retreated and the NCR can let the dust settle. Celebrating their second victory at Hoover Dam, the NCR established their control over the Mojave. They then annexed the Strip, Freeside, and the surrounding communities. Honoured by the NCR for the support at Hoover Dam, the courier was awarded something called the Golden Branch, the highest civilian honour awarded by the NCR. As for the town of Good Springs, the town saw increased trade, but heavy taxation by the NCR. This meant that a lot of old people living there couldn't afford to live there anymore and had to move on. If the Great Khans were drafted in to help the NCR during the battle for Hoover Dam, they became cannon fodder. If they were convinced to leave, they moved on to Wyoming and reconnected with the followers of the Apocalypse, who we'll briefly touch on next. So I just mentioned the followers of the Apocalypse. I couldn't find a suitable location to discuss them previously, so I'll discuss them briefly here. The followers are a humanitarian organisation who provide education and medical services, who were formed in Dayglow, which used to be San Diego. They were once part of the NCR but separated from them after they disagreed with the NCR's foreign policies. However, the two sides are still friendly. Caesar was actually a former member of the followers, real name Edward Sallow. His mother sought the followers' protection after her husband, Edward's father, was killed by a raider gang. Edward received a good education from the followers, and later in life he would be sent east to the Grand Canyon, where he discovered old history books on the Roman Empire. The followers don't really like the Brotherhood of Steel, as the Brotherhood's goals are completely opposite to their own. They also don't like the Legion, with the main reason being that Edward Sallow becoming Caesar is a bit of a taboo subject for them. So, spoiler incoming for the ending of the Fallout TV show. Ever since the game released, there's not been a confirmed canon ending to New Vegas. However, we did see that the recent TV show left a cliffhanger. After Lucy discovered that her father Hank was a bad man who was responsible for the bombing and total destruction of the NCR's capital city, Shady Sands, the Brotherhood of Steel attacked the NCR base at the Griffith Observatory. In the chaos, Hank escaped the observatory using a suit of power armor, later to be seen walking through the Mojave, with New Vegas visible in the distance. Maybe we're going to have to wait until Season 2 of the Fallout TV show in order to truly find out what the true canonical ending to the game is, seeing that the show itself takes place around 40 or 50 years later. But that's it for this video. As mentioned earlier, I'll be making a follow-up video to this one on the Vaults of the Mojave, so keep an eye out for that one. Then we'll jump into the story from Fallout 4. But I hope you enjoyed this video going over the story from Fallout New Vegas. Remember to check out Surfshark's
Fallout TV series lore. fucking idiots. Fallout series lore. Fucking God damn, these idiots at Google. They need to be killed. Someone just shoot their asses, please.
Observatory. After a big climactic battle between the NCR and the Brotherhood of Steel, the NCR are able to get their hands on the Enclave Defector's piece of tech, which turns out to be a cold fusion device, a source of unlimited power. It's useless without a Vault-Tec passkey though, until Hank is coerced into giving his over, which results in LA finally getting its power supply back on. And the telly show ends with Hank escaping into the wastelands donned in power suit armor, Lucy and the Ghoul teaming up to get revenge on Vault-Tec, and in its final shot, we see Hank coming across the city of New Vegas, which looks like it is now fallen into ruins. I guess we'll just have to wait for the second season to find out what exactly has happened canonically to Mr. House's vibrant city. And that, friends, is the Fallout timeline fully explained. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like these kinds of gaming timeline...
Fuck, I gotta look it up. It's pulling me in, damn it. Fallout series cast. Lucy, what? Hank. Who does he play? Damn it. Johnny Pemberton, Thaddeus. That's a good actor. And Moten. Maximus, that dude, the black guy, he's cool as fuck, though. Excellent actor. Estrada. Who's that guy from? Stone Torch. just to get... Oh, that's probably why. The food. What wheel is that guy on?
So welcome back guys to another video, and today we're going to be checking out 5 awesome loot locations or rooms in Fallout 4. Whether these be from the base games or DLCs, I thought considering you guys seem to really enjoy these top list videos,
fuck you, I didn't want this.
one based
Shut up, I don't give a fuck.
The Fallout franchise has a long and complex history and timeline that has been expanding its post-apocalyptic future ever since the original games released back in 1997. With 4 mainline games, a handful of spin-offs, and now a TV show that's set within the same universe, the series has a big, meaty timeline to wrap your head around.
Interplay in Bethesda's Bleak Bunkers franchise has a megaton of lore that spans centuries and even overlaps with our own real-world timeline. But how exactly does it all tie together?
Well, despite the mainline games rolling in a roughly chronological order, it can all get a little bit confusing, especially with all the extra world building and timeline diversions that happen years before the games even take place. Not to mention a handful of games that are now considered non-canon and have mostly been thrown out of the timeline. I'll explain that in more detail a little later on. And with the TV show extending the timeline out further into the future, there's a lot to get through, so I'd better get straight into it. Naturally, there will be spoilers for the TV show as well, which I'll call out when I get to them, so consider this your warning.
Hey, my name's Adam, and there is no better time than now to dive into the lore of Fallout. So join me as I break down and explain the franchise's nutty timeline. Our timeline kicks off in the mid-20th century in a post-World War II world that looks very much like our own. But that is all about to change.
You see, the world of Fallout diverges from our own in the period after World War II, at some point between 1945 to 1961. And imagine a technologically advanced world steeped in the design aesthetics of the 1950s, hence all the retro-futuristic vibes. Despite this, our own history and Fallout share a few key moments, namely the US entering the Vietnam War in the mid-1960s, amid a heightening of tensions. US entering the Vietnam War in the mid-1960s, amid a heightening of tensions in the Cold War.
But in 1969, the similarities come to an abrupt end, and the Fallout franchise branches off in its own unique direction.
Yep, with the threat of communism looming large in Fallout's America, the US makes the radical decision to reshape itself from 50 states into 13 commonwealths. While this plan kinda works in that none of the 13 Commonwealths become communist, it does turn the country into a volatile cesspit of political strife, paranoia and unrest. But the hostile intensity of this new political environment, coupled with the ever-rising temperature of the Cold War, leads the US to make huge technological advancements in the fields of AI and robotics. Harnessing the atomic power that brought World War II to a close brings about inventions that used to be consigned to the realm of science fiction. And at the forefront of these technological leaps is one Robert House, who was born in the year 2020. House grows up to become a leader in the robotic space, and he eventually sets up a company by the name of Robco, who become quite instrumental to the world of Fallout. Among their most notable creations are the Protectrons, the Sentrybots, Fallout 3's Liberty Prime, and the iPhone of the Fallout world, the wrist-mounted Pip-Boy. But despite all these nifty bits of tech, the threat of nuclear war still looms large over the world of Fallout. And by April 2052, things have gotten so dire on the global scene that a new war takes hold of the world, the Resource War. With fossil fuels running on empty, the superpowers of the world start to fight over the limited reserves that they have left. Europe declares war on the Middle East in a bid to lay claim to the region's bountiful supply, while in the Western Hemisphere, the US invades Mexico, annexes Canada, and has to defend its Alaskan territory from the armies of China.
And this resource war naturally sets off the spark that leads to the nukes dropping. But I'm getting ever so slightly ahead of myself.
You see, before we get to the fateful day of nuclear devastation, we have to talk about Fallout's iconic vaults. The year is now 2054 and international tensions are sky high. Reading the room, the US government and a secretive organisation known as the Enclave commissions Vault-Tec and Robco to start work on a little something known as Project Safehouse. This involves building 122 public vaults across America, with each vault capable of housing 1,000 US citizens from a potential nuclear cataclysm. Well, that's the official story anyway. The reality is far more bizarre, as each vault was the basis for a completely different social experiment, some of which I'll dig into as we make our way through this weird and wonderful timeline. Many of these vaults open in the years preceding the Great War of 2077, most notably Vault 76, which opens on the 300th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Across the nation, local citizens are picked as the lucky, or unlucky depending on the vault in question, future population. Naturally, Vault-Tec is quite a prominent enterprise at this point in time, to the point where they're basically the biggest company in the US. And in the Fallout TV show, we get a closer look at the inner workings of the company through the eyes of Cooper Howard, played by Walton Goggins. If you haven't yet seen the show, consider this your spoiler warning, as I'm about to get into some of the major story beats. Skip ahead about a minute to get back on track with the games, okay? Right, so Coop is a big-time Hollywood star who's basically the John Wayne or Clint Eastwood of the Fallout timeline. His wife Barb, however, is one of Vault-Tec's leading executives, who's pretty much in charge of the aforementioned Project Safehouse, which is all but up and running by the time of the pre-war sections of the telly show. Anyway, Barb encourages her Hollywood husband to help advertise the vaults to the American masses, with one photo shoot in particular inspiring the company's future mascot, Vault Boy, a picture-perfect blonde lad with a gleaming smile and a big thumbs up. Thanks, Coop. But as Coop learns more about Vault-Tec, he becomes disillusioned with the company's message, and eventually meets with a radical group seeking to undermine the megacorp. And so Coop starts spying on his wife, which leads to him overhearing a handful of major revelations. In a meeting with some of the US's biggest players, including Robco's Robert House, among others, he learns the horrifying truth behind the vaults and their bizarre social experiments. Not only that, but he learns that Vault-Tec even intend to drop the bomb themselves to guarantee their business model. The twisted bastards.
Anyway, all of this eventually leads us to the fateful date of October 23rd, 2077, the day when the bombs fell.
With the resource war reaching a fever pitch, the superpowers of the world started launching nukes at each other, and in the space of 2 short hours pretty much destroyed the entire world. Naturally, the vast majority of the planet's population straight up died. But the aftermath of the fallout brought about just as much devastation, as a never-ending storm of black rain lashed the nuclear wastelands and poisoned the world with high levels of radiation, which in turn killed scores of old species and created, new ones to replace them.
And this brings our grim history lesson to an end, as we reach the prologue of Fallout 4, which takes place on the day that the world ended.
before you've even got time to finish your morning coffee, a Vault-Tec representative turns up at your door and asks you, the player character, aka the sole survivor, a few personal questions about your future. Good thing too is a few short minutes later the first nukes start to fall on the US, and you, your spouse and your infant son Sean are whisked off to the local vault, number 111. And just in the nick of time as well, as a nuclear blast eviscerates the horizon as you descend into the underground vault. The sole survivor and his family don the iconic blue and yellow vault suits and settle in for a long, peaceful sleep in a cryogenic chamber. We'll catch up on their slumber in a good 200 odd years, but in the meantime we're heading west to LA for even more nuclear devastation.
Yet, happening concurrently to the blast back in Boston is the total nuclear obliteration of Los Angeles, as seen in the prologue of the Fallout TV show.
Here we catch up again with Cooper Howard, who's fallen from the heights of his Hollywood career to become, well, a glorified children's entertainer. He's performing at a birthday party at a swanky LA villa overlooking the skyscrapers of downtown Los Angeles. Said skyscrapers are not long for this world though, as the horizon is inevitably performing at a birthday party at a swanky LA villa overlooking the skyscrapers of downtown Los Angeles. Said skyscrapers are not long for this world though, as the horizon is inevitably lit up by the harrowing sights of mushroom clouds. With the sky falling down on the City of Angels, Coop scoops his young daughter up onto his horse in an ill-fated attempt to escape the nuclear devastation. We'll catch back up with Coop later on in the timeline, but before that, let's get our first taste of the irradiated wastelands.
The first vault to open, that we know about at least, is Vault 76, which opens 25 years after the Great War on Reclamation Day 2102.
Situated in the Appalachians of West Virginia, Vault 76 is home to the best and brightest minds that the USA has to offer, which makes it ironic if you choose one as your intelligence, but that's a moot point. Tasked with repopulating the wastelands of West Virginia, the clever little citizens of Vault 76 head on out into, well, a bit of a lifeless, lonely world. Well, at least that was the case when the multiplayer game originally launched. You see, non-player characters, or NPCs, didn't start populating the game until the Wastelanders DLC launched, but I'm getting ahead of myself again. Anyway, the player character is given a secret mission by the Vault Overseer, a mission to secure a metric ton of nuclear weaponry. Only there's a bit of a problem in the Appalachians. In the 25 or so years since nuclear devastation, a plague of beasts known as the Scorched have taken control of the lands. Mind-controlled by some giant bee-like Scorched beast, the Scorched present quite the obstacle to repopulating the wastelands. And so the bulk of Fallout 76's narrative sees the player character tracking down a way to destroy the Scorched, and the answer, as we all know, is to nuke them.
It's the only way to be sure.
En route to this endgame, the player character eventually discovers that the Scorched might actually have been created in a lab, but despite this revelation, the plan is still to nuke the ever-living crap out of them. And after they kill the Scorched Beast Queen thing, the connection to the rest of the Scorched breaks.
Only there be treasure in them hills, Bob. Also, the rumours go in the first DLC expansion for Fallout 76 called Wastelanders.
Yep, as I mentioned before, with the threat of the Scorched extinguished, people start to return to the area in dribs and drabs, and two major factions begin to emerge out of the rabble: the Settlers and the Raiders. Rumours of a vast treasure lead the player character to discover the existence of Vault 79, which basically houses the entire gold reserves of the US in one tiny living space. Anyway, the player chooses their allegiance to either the Settlers or the Raiders and heads off to raid Vault 79. And depending on your decision making, you can choose to spread the wealth any number of ways, most of which will just break the delicate balance of power in the area between the two factions. Naturally, as an ever-expanding multiplayer game, the story is constantly evolving, but there are a few key beats still to mention. The first is the introduction of a Fallout franchise staple, the Brotherhood of Steel. This highly militaristic faction is a post-war creation, built up out of the remnants of the US Army with the core goal of securing and preserving technologically advanced pre-war weaponry and kit. And they're often seen sporting that great big hulking tank-like power armour. Anyway, they set up their base of operations in West Virginia in the old Atlas Observatory, which they rechristened Fort Atlas, as that has presumably got more of an army vibe to it. As the player character, you can ally yourself with the Brotherhood in a bid to help keep the Wastelanders of the Appalachian safe, and or help the Brotherhood of Steel double down on their mission to secure pre-war weaponry. And lastly, for Fallout 76 are the Expeditions, which takes the player character away from West Virginia to visit the ruins of Pittsburgh, affectionately known as the Pit, and Atlantic City. From the wastelands of West Virginia, we travel west to the remnants of California in the year 2161 for the events of the very first Fallout game. Here we witness the story of the Vault Dweller, a citizen of the ill-fated Vault 13, which has got a problem, a big one. An all-important microchip that controls their water processing unit has given up the ghost, and it's the Vault Dweller's job to venture out into the wasteland to locate a new one. This mission takes the Vault Dweller to the ruins of the nearby Vault 15, and then onwards to Vault 12, which is located underneath a city known as Necropolis, which is populated by ghouls, humans who've become hideously deformed by nuclear radiation. And it's here, underneath this city of the Walking Dead, that the Vault Dweller finds a replacement chip to solve Vault 13's water problem. One of the first major settlements that the Vault Dweller visits is a little place by the name of Shady Sands, which will become one of the most important townships in the whole series. For now, it's a humble little place that's managed to establish itself as a thriving little community. We'll catch up with this place a few times on the timeline, but let's just say its future is not looking bright. Only there's a lurking threat in the wastelands of California, a contingent of mutants that have proliferated throughout the world known as super mutants. The Vault Dweller traces these reports back to a quasi-religious movement called the Children of the Cathedral, which is headed up by a super mutant called the Master. Long story short, the Vault Dweller is tasked by the Overseer of Vault 13 with eradicating the super mutants, which leads him to encountering a conspiracy within the cathedral. You see, it turns out that the Master is capturing humans and turning them into super mutants using something known as the Forced Evolutionary Virus, or FEV, which is contained within a series of bats that glow with an unhealthy green glow, which just screams danger to me. Anyway, as Fallout is a classical RPG, you can see about this mission in a handful of different ways, with the ultimate end goal of destroying the vats of green FEV goop and neutralising the super mutant threat. And for all the Vault Dweller's efforts, you'd think that they'd be cheered back into Vault 13 as a hero, right? Wrong. The Overseer flat out denies the Vault Dweller entry back into their home on the grounds that he's worried that your actions will inspire future generations to leave the Vault and undermine all the hard work of keeping it going strong. And so Fallout comes to an end with the Vault Dweller exiled back into the Wastelands.
What are the vaults made of in Fallout? Hold on. Vault Tech Mashup Pack. Do you remember when we met? That's the day I knew you were my pet. I want to tell you how much I love you.
Moving on. Here, I believe, is next.
Come with
Friends in the
me
street.
to the sea. Oh,
We've got a church, I believe. The starting area, so you can get an idea of it.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit, honky nigger bitch.
Continue moving on. Over here, I believe, is next. Down. Ooh, I wonder if they... We've got a church, I believe. Spaceship. They have a crashed spaceship. That's a nice touch.
Minecraft is filled with vast landscapes, interesting creatures, and unique items, but it's missing. It also gives you an empty bottle and a bottle cap. Stimpaks and Nuka-Cola. Have a custom idol. Each with the same structural look.
Continue moving
What
on.
happens
Over
after
here, I
1,000
believe, is
years of
next.
Fallout?
When you played Fallout 4, you've probably noticed the time and date that shows up in your pit point when you wait and when you sleep. You may have even noticed that Diamond City puts up decorations on Halloween and Christmas. The city guards even have a bit of unique dialogue on the holiday. Further, it's important to give a bit more information as to why we're using the timescale command instead of just typing set game year. It's up to 1 million. When I opened, well, it seems as though time itself stops meaning anything once you go beyond the year 2999, which isn't necessarily surprising. At that point, 712 in-game years have passed since the sole survivor emerged from Vault. It seems as though the game's timescale tops out somewhere below 1 octodecillion. That's a damn shame is what it is. Guess who's back, our old timescale again? And it crashed. I can't say I'm surprised. A little bored. You let me play God for longer.
Continue moving on.
Hello guys, this is Paul here, and welcome to a new adventure that's pretty cool, and to leave this. Hello guys. Little hot.
How do I do this though?
Are these kind of some sort of pods? Some sort of, do these do anything? No. What are these? I think this might be something from Fallout 4. But yes. Again, guys, as always, just drop me a comment below. Let me know what these, just put those green things are, and then if you know what they are. Okay, we can't seem to see much else in here. No tools for bubbles. There is water. Okay. Where's the water? Dripping. Water dripping. Okay, so I can't
Just
seems to be
remembered I
anything
was
else
looking for
or
those
quite the sort of
things.
middle section. No. Okay, let's carry on and go down the this one down here. Let's keep our sword ready because yeah, creepers and things coming out. There, glowstone. So anything? I'm just seeing if there is anything inside that hasn't detonated. But yeah, because you have to do a mission in Fallout 3 we can break it. I was thinking, oh, it might take a while to break. But yeah, what a silly thing to do, come into Nether without so much as a pickaxe. Obviously we've got a sword. Right, that was a pretty safe trip actually. We didn't experience any attacks by any... Doesn't look like there is anything... I don't think it is. Right, let's go and explore some other buildings then. Maybe that way we'll go to the one that's next door. While we're sort of up there. I'm trying to think which one is the actual house. Because you get a house... Well, that was it. You could pick... Why not, indeed? Until we get a better one, of course. Right. So we've got a couple of levels here. I'm sitting over there. No, let's... Oh, hey, oh. Hey, what are you doing? Right, what's this way? This can be outdoors, no? Thought it might have taken us outside. Let's carry on up the stairs, see where we're going to end up. No. Don't seem to be anything in here either. That's very disappointing. Very disappointing indeed. There. Okay, so let's just have a kind of wander. Where we're going this way. We're going around. Can we actually get round this way? There's a building here. I think it would take us. Let's go. Just jump on top of the house. So yeah, we've come up here next. We'll just kind of follow it around, and then I guess we'll just. What's that? I thought it might have been a trap door. And then we'll of course make our way down to the sort of ground level. So which way do we go? I think we just come down here. It's like an actual staircase. Right. Ooh. Let's not go there. Let's just we're just gonna follow the path, not so we don't confuse ourselves. I think that one. Right. Let's go check the other one. These can't be empty. These are gonna have something in them. This one. Right, so we've got... Looks like... If you've enjoyed this video, welcome guests, welcome!
Gotta be... I'm looking for the part where he goes and checks out the...
if you have enjoyed this and you want to see more, of course.
The underground tunnels. Right here. I want to see how they do it.
I'll make it up to you. Hello guys, this is Paul here, and welcome back to the Wastelands for another episode of the last episode, Minecraft Fallout Adventure. Still got places to explore in here. Oh, I can hear a witch. Oh, this is must. Hello, guys.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
mob briefing turned off, so they can't destroy anything. Right, what are these up here? Like these giant things. Straight down to the water. And there's nothing. Oh, that's so disappointing. Oh. Out the kind of bottom area. The bottom. And no, we didn't take. The music disc in there. Like kung fu film, don't it? The way of the creeper, like the way of. Ah, took him out just in time. Constitution, and yeah, they.
Welcome, guests. Welcome to Tenpenny Tower.
No, close the fucking thing out, you faggot. God damn, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I think I found one.
Yeah, very bucky.
I just want to see how the fuck they do it.
For my personal preference, but
Oh, 2 months ago. I was gonna say, because that was way before the thing.
a little bit basic, but not too bad. And then around here we've got so we've got the sheep looking. Right? If I'm not mistaken.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey, guy. Pretty cool, too. That is a nice skin. Which is where you guys play a big part, because if I don't find them, it means that you guys can go and find the rest of them. I'm just exploring more than anything else. I'm trying to remember some.
When I was young, I never needed anyone. Just for fun. Those days are gone.
stuck in survival mode, certain resources have become extreme.
Even 10 minutes, guys. That was literally like.
Literally like, okay, blackish, how we got married like that.
Dude, you're just wiggling. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's get the Guardians. What?
Wonder of YouTube, welcome back to another video here on my YouTube channel. Today guys, I've got some really cool news for you guys, and Fallout 4 Master Pack for Minecraft has finally been released, and I've been waiting for this for ages. So long that I don't even play Minecraft no more. So, you know, I did say that this would come out eventually, and now, fortunately, it is out. So, the bad thing with this Master Pack is it's super expensive. It's almost £5, which is ridiculous really, just for an add-on for Minecraft, because you can almost get a game at that price. Some games are even that cheap, so I won't do many more Minecraft videos, but let me know what you want to see in the comments.
Hello everybody, welcome to a Fallout. Here as well, and so yeah, pretty much like
Hi guys, it's Spregsy and welcome back to this Minecraft video in the Fallout map. Treat me seeing this for the first time, so I've not actually seen any of this, and wow, this is actually really impressive. Let me, do I have to go all the way down, or is there a door? I assume there's a door that just gonna, I happen to walk up to. Let's go and have a look for another one, and this is absolutely brilliant. Not a lot else to look at. We'll have a quick look. This is the same. Yeah, it's basically just all the rooms. This one comes.
The fuck? Oh, okay.
Guys, this is a public service announcement. 3 classic Fallout games are free on Epic Games right now. If you have the app to use Epic Games, it should be on the home page. You just have to scroll down. You get the classic Fallout collection, Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics. I know some of you might have these already, but it's good to just get them across different apps in case I don't know. Steam gets cyber attacked or something. As of the 29th of August, 2024, you can nab them all for free. If you want to support me for free, you can easily insert code NOBARK. On Epic Games right now. If you have the app to use Epic Games, it should be on the home page. You just have to scroll down. You get the classic Fallout collection, Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics. I know some of you might have these already, but it's good to just get them across different apps in case I don't Steam gets cyber attacked or something. As of the 29th of August, 2024, you can nab them all for free. If you want to support me for free, you can easily insert code NOBARK into the Epic Games screen when you download your free games or when you buy something to help me build more Repcon rockets to save capitalism from the pink moon.
$20 that was free. You fuckers. What? Fuck you, I'm not gonna waste my time. Well, you know what? Hold on, damn you.
Games, it should be on the home page. You just have to scroll down. You get the classic Fallout collection. Fallout 1, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics. I know some of you might have these already. And Fallout Tactics.
You guys are idiots. You're the one chasing people away with your satanic self-righteous shit. Fucking idiots.
I know some of you might.
What can I do for you? Boss? Just how old do you think I am, boss? Because I can pretty much guarantee I'm older than that. Let me tell you a story from before the Great War. Everybody knew Robert House. He was a genius, a superstar.
ATR.
Founded Ramco in 22. David Howley was driving for the works. They say he saved Las Vegas. I was in Mexico City with the
Guys, this is a public service announcement.
Shut up, liar. What the hell happened over here, though? Is your food done, Mom? Is your food still in the microwave? Okay. Oh man, I gotta get me some coffee. all the day long. All the day long. You know what? I'm wondering if I gotta look inside this bucket. Let me look raw quick. All the day long. What a friend we have in Jesus. trials and temptations. Is there trouble anywhere? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. How the fuck? Was this even the right one? Can we find a friend so faithful? Oh, when the lost sorrows bear, Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. So it's already up. Precious Savior, still our refuge. Take it to the Lord in prayer. What the fuck? Oh, you're that close? Right, I'm gonna have to do this one all over again. Item frame. You know what?
Welcome back.
Okay, so
Situation on the roads into Atlanta, but Philip is adamant about staying.
you know what, hold on a second.
Care of it, Brian says bitterly, moving toward the latch, his baseball bat poised. Philip
I'll be at it. right back. Hold on, guys.
He steps in between his brother and the tanning would quit. As Brian throws open the lid.
Hold on. Hold on, where the fuck is that one thing? God damn it. I love these doors. Excuse me. Where the fuck were we? We'll get it though. Oh, here we go, damn it. Gosh, damn you. Oh, okay. Oh, so when you're looking at it, you look to the left. Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. Oh, so when you're looking at it, you look to the left. Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. One. You. 34, 70, 45. What? Oh. Copy. Okay. You know, let me check something out real quick. Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere waiting for me.
That fucking nigger, don't belong there, nigger.
All of which brings us to the year 2197, the year in which Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel takes place. And this is where the timeline gets a little funky, as while Tactics isn't canon, some elements of the story are canon. Let me explain. The main gist of Tactics is that it vastly expands the story behind the Brotherhood of Steel, specifically one of the faction's chapters in the Midwest of America. The game sees you join the Brotherhood as an initiate and help them move across the country from Chicago down to Colorado. Bethesda have outright said that the game isn't a part of the larger franchise's canon, but they have included a few references to the Brotherhood operations in the Midwest since they took over the series, and all of this is further confused by another game, helpfully called Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, which launched on consoles in 2004 and is also considered totally non-canon. In short, we can largely ignore both of these games in the grand scheme of things. Canon. Steel, which launched on consoles in 2004 and is also considered totally non-canon. In short, we can largely ignore both of these games in the grand scheme of things.
Walk in between 4 and 8 for your hot and ready favorites like $7.99 tins.
Oh, get the fuck out of here, bitch. I hate this shit.
Anyway, Barb encourages her Hollywood husband that they'd be cheered back into Vault 13 as a hero, right? To the scorched, extinguished, people start to return to the area in dribs and drabs, and two major factions begin to emerge out of the rabble: the Settlers and the Raiders.
World leaders, corporate giants, top academics, they're all coming together in Davos, Switzerland today. It's the start of the 54th World Economic Forum, and security is very tight at the Swiss ski resort as those international elites begin to arrive.
What are we able to keep the positive side of the old order, bring into a new world order, and how can we avoid that new world order becomes like jungle growing back, and we rather have order based on international law and the principles that have brought us prosperity and freedom for decades.
It's time to plan the future. Not their futures, your future.
That order seems to not be the order anymore. We are on the way to a new order, so we are between orders.
A new world order. So what will that look like?
Maybe this is the old kind of teacher in me coming out. I think of this a little bit more about a transition of eras rather than a transition of orders, but the two are kind of cousins of one another. More about a transition of eras rather than a transition of orders, but the two are kind of cousins of one another. The reason I draw the distinction is because I don't think the international order built after 1945 is getting replaced wholesale with some new order. It will obviously evolve as it has evolved multiple times over the decades since 1945. But I do think in a more sharp and distinctive way, we are moving into a new era, and that's what I talked about in my remarks, that we are, the post-Cold War era has come to a close. We're at the start of something new. We have the capacity to shape what that looks like, and at the heart of it will be many of the core principles and core institutions of the existing order, adapted for the challenges that we face today.
Where the fuck is...
So, Mrs. Why do the nations rage? The people plot, evade.
Fallout mashup pack. Yeah, they don't have to talk to me. I can figure this shit out. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.